Today is April 21st, 2019, and you are listening to episode 2 of Man-Child and the Old Guy. He's the man-child, a bearded 20-something, and I'm the old guy, a cynical Gen Xer. This is your intergenerational podcast where he discusses pop culture, faith, politics, and whatever he finds interesting, and I just complain. Broadcasting from the basement because that is where Mom lets us.
Hi, Mom.
So how are you doing today, man-child?
I am doing okay. I feel a little bloated. Honestly, I think I need to lose weight, but I've been just sitting in my chair since I've been unemployed for like a month and a half. Almost 2 months now.
Yeah, almost 2 months.
Yeah, just doing homework, staring at a computer. I've gained about 5 pounds, which for a small man such as me, that's a lot of weight. It shows.
Have you ever seen those, there's a guy on YouTube who shows you what 5 pounds of fat actually looks like?
Ugh.
It's pretty gross. And he has like this big rubber mass that simulates 5 pounds of human fat, and he like gives it to people and like, this is how much weight you need to lose kind of thing, and it's pretty gross. It's a lot. But, you know, it's spread out all over your frame, so.
Yeah. Well, I can notice in my face because the shorter I'm getting my beard, usually my face is pretty thin, but I feel like it's a little more round than what it was like 3 months ago.
Well, as your grandma would say, you're filling out.
I'm filling out, which means I'm getting fatter, which is not good. I don't need to get fatter. I need to stay thin. It's bad for my health.
But you've also been doing something interesting to exercise with a pickaxe.
Yes. Yeah, I have. Okay, so when we moved out to our current house in
the Quad Cities.
Didn't know if I could say that or not. But when we moved to our new house in the Quad Cities, we had this stump in the backyard, which I recall. Let me just put a little history behind this right now, just so you understand where I'm coming from. All right, so we were living in Omaha. We moved to the Quad Cities. My parents moved out to the Quad Cities like 2-3 months before me, and I was still living in Omaha working maintenance at a camp. And at the end of the summer, my father drove out to get me and brought me there. So they'd already been living there for a little bit. I lived there for about 2 months, and then I moved to Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I lived there for about 6 months. And then I dropped out of my college I was on up there. And then I moved back down here. And I've been here for about 1.5 years-ish, not 2 years, whatever it is. But to my recollection, when we first moved here, we had 3 trees in the backyard. Each one has these stones.
There's never been 3 trees.
There was like 3 trees back there. I know we sent someone back there to cut down some little trees sticking out of the tree. There was a third tree. There's a tree stump in the center of the 3 trees.
Stop. Now, there was 3 stone circles where 3 evergreens used to be. There was, there was a mulberry growing out of one of the evergreens. So there was an evergreen going straight up in the air, and then this huge mulberry coming out of the side of the base of that tree. So there was 3 trees, but they were not in the
there
3
was a
circles.
Third tree. There was one in the middle, and then another one at the end. Left, center, right. Left, center, right. Yeah, I did that correctly. Yeah. Anyways, I think there was a tree there, and it was cut down. My father, who I'm presuming to be wrong, but nonetheless, we have this stupid stump around that has this stone. What do you call them? Just stones?
Just
stone bricks?
Yeah, like retaining wall bricks.
Okay, so we got like a bunch of these gray stone retaining wall bricks around each of these trees. And the center one, where there used to be a tree, there was a stump when we moved here. Or after we cut down a tree. I need evidence to prove that there was not a tree there. But my father cannot provide that. Therefore, I am saying that there was a tree here.
Well, I know I'm the old guy, but I am far from senile.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some days, man, you know?
Well, what do you want to rant about today, man-child?
Well, let me get this pickaxe thing. I want to finish this. Oh. Okay? All right, so my workout's been this pickaxe thing because my dad and I have been wanting to turn that into a fire pit. So we throw a bunch of stuff onto that stump and we light it on fire, we burn it, whatever we want to do with it. The problem is the stump isn't burning. It's been like a year. No. How long? We 2 years? 3 years?
We're going on 2 years of living here.
Yeah. And that stump has still been there. It's barely even charcoaled. It hasn't done anything. I don't know what it is. So I found this pickaxe in our back shed that was left from the previous owners, and so the past several days back and forth, well, you know, not consecutively or anything, I've been going back there and just whacking away at this stump. So I think I've got about 65% of it chopped up. There's a lot of roots and stuff underneath, but the pickaxe broke today.
You didn't tell me that.
Well, we got another one in the garage, so... But, like, I swung it down, I felt a crack, and I looked down, and the hilt had this huge chunk of wood. Crack going all the way up. And I'm like, geez.
Well, you're stronger than you look.
I guess so. Or this leads into my rant, which is designed obsolescence.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about that because there's a certain amount of disagreement I have with you about planned obsolescence.
Well, okay, let's just clarify this. We do not disagree that planned obsolescence exists, right?
We don't agree that it exists?
We don't disagree. We agree that it exists.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yes.
Now, would you say stereotypically things from the past, like, just to skip the 70s, let's just skip the 70s because that's just like the middle child of the 20th century. You know that feeling. You're a Gen X and a middle child. You know what that feeling is. So,
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, 70s, a lot of crap came out of that. Coolest things, but a lot of crap came out of that.
No one can deny that leisure suits and plaid pants and bike shorts are awesome.
You're right. No one can agree that's awesome.
No, I said deny.
I'm denying it. It's just hideous. So,
you weren't there.
No, I was not, but you were, so it dates you a little bit. Anyway, so a lot of stuff in the early, mid 20th century or whatever usually is stereotypically looked at as having like really good quality. You know, it was built to last. So, you know, a lot of the cars from then people view as, well, that car was made to run. Keep putting oil in it and it's good to go. Or even microwaves, radios, anything.
When did you think microwaves became a household item?
What was... I know that was like the mid-'80s, right?
No, the 70s.
Was it the 70s?
Then they were the radar range.
Radar range?
Yes.
What the heck is a radar range microwave?
That was
There's a satellite dish on the top of your kitchen.
That's what they were originally called, the radar range, and then they morphed into microwaves. And they used to have the old Kachunka dial on them. You click what power level you wanted, and then turn the dial around to however much time you wanted to give things.
So it was a toaster oven?
Well, that's been around since electricity.
Yeah, but that's what it sounds more like, power level.
No, it still had the waveguide in there. I mean, you know, the magnetron making the microwaves, cooking the food.
Right, but I mean, it didn't have a timer that automatically just did it. You're talking about the power that goes into the microwave. You can control how much power goes into the microwave.
Well, you still can. Our digital one up in the kitchen, you can tell it to run at low power, medium power, high power.
I guess I've never really paid attention enough looking at our microwave like you did as a child without the internet. When you were so bored, you just stared at it to figure out all its magical capacities and abilities.
Well, I didn't stick my head inside and try to turn it on.
What? Neither did I. But your other son definitely put his finger in a light socket. So,
well, yeah, that's a whole nother story. But the concept of all I'm saying is your perspective might be a little off because you don't realize when things actually came into existence for Middle America.
Okay, great, whatever. Anyway, all I'm trying to say here is that a lot of products from the 20th century are just when people view them or look at them from that time. They view something that was made of quality, that was built to last. And before I talked about with you, before the show, pantyhose, or stockings, whatever you want to call them. World War II, nylon was in short supply. Manufacturers were looking at going bankrupt because they weren't making any money. No one was buying pantyhose. It became expensive, and they couldn't sell as many. They couldn't manufacture as many either. So they decided to make ones that people didn't have to keep replacing. They made really strong ones that you could wash repeatedly, wear them, and they had years of a lifespan. Well, then after the war is over, this is World War II, the manufacturers figured out that they're actually losing money because people aren't buying any more new pantyhose. So they had to stop making the high-quality stuff for these crappier ones that look great at first. Wear them for one day, then you throw them away or whatever. I don't know. I've never worn them, so I don't really know much about them. But, you like throw them away after you wear them a day or two or something, I guess. And then you have to go buy new ones. So that's designed obsolescence. And cars today seem like that. So my main rant with the design obsolescence is that I definitely agree that there are products that are designed to break. They are not designed to last. Now, I think in our modern culture, as a Zoomer, that it's a bunch of crap. That a lot of the stuff we have today is designed not to last. In front of me, I have 3 products that are currently just outdated. They're old. I have a really beat up 2010 MacBook Pro. There's no way I could have bought this brand new. It would have been, $2,000, probably $5,000, I don't know, thousands of dollars worth. I know you don't like Apple products. I enjoy them. But I got this by trading a really old TV to my sister. But this product is almost 10 years old. And it runs great. It runs very well. It does not have the newest software. It missed out on the new one. Mojave, whatever Apple's calling it. It missed out on that. But outside of everything, this thing works great. As long as I take care of it. I'm not dropping it constantly. I try and fix little things that fall off here and there.
Fix little things that fall off?
Well, yeah, because it's got these little rubber pads that go on the 4 corners. All those are kind of gone. But in general, everything on this works except for the DVD drive. Because that was Brianna, my sister's fault. She stuck something in there and pulled it out. I don't know. She broke it when she had it.
Well, it probably made her mad and she forced it.
I can see that. But this thing still works. All right, and then I have an iPad mini, the first gen. And it's a funny story about how I bought this, and I'll talk about another time how I accidentally became part of the Mormon church buying an iPad off eBay. But this thing, the iPad mini, the first gen, was released in October 23rd, 2012. So this iPad right here is... what year is it? 2019?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 7 years old. Right? This iPad is almost a decade old. My iPhone SE that I bought fairly brand new was released in 2016. So my cell phone is... no, it is 3 years old because it was released March 31st, 2016. So we just passed March. This iPhone is 3 years old. And you know what? I mean, obviously, my iPad screen's cracked. My phone's been dropped more times than I probably was as a child. And
it looks like you could use it as sandpaper.
Probably, but they still work. And I know a lot of people get mad at Apple, and mainly because they do this whole thing where after a certain while they retire a product. I can't remember what word they use to describe it, but it's like my iPad's stuck in iOS 9.1.
Yeah, they no longer support those older systems.
Right, and a lot of people get mad at that. But at the same time, you have to understand, the reason my MacBook isn't getting the newest operating system is because it was never designed. It's designed to go to a certain level. Like this, the whatever operating system it's on now is like Mojave, not Mojave, El Capitan or something. It can't go past that because the next operating system has features that the computer can't support. It just overclocks trying to do the things it does because there's so many other programs that can operate in the background that this can't work anymore. My iPad,
you're saying all this. And you're talking about planned obsolescence. I don't know where you're going with this.
What I'm saying is that so many people view...
You're still using something that's old, so what's...
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that I think it's a problem in our culture. Let's just keep going until we're done. Man, let's not do this 30 minutes. Let's go. What I'm trying to say is that this product is still good today. But in our culture, as a Zoomer, and, millennials, my girlfriend's a millennial, everyone seems to view like when a product is a little bit old, well, we have to throw it away. It's no good anymore. That's total crap. My car's from '07, right? It's a Honda Fit. There's a lot of weird little issues with it. It's already got 103,000 miles. I'm hoping to get 200,000 miles on it. I've already put about 5,000 on it. I bought it used. But it's the same thing. If you just take care of it, it really doesn't matter what car it is. If you take good care of it, it's going to last. Like this phone, even if it might not get the newest updates, I can still use it for years from now, as long as the cell towers don't change.
Now, you're talking about expensive items like cars, iPhones, iPads, MacBook Pros. So what you're saying is, some cheesy telephone that you buy for $20 at Walmart is supposed to last forever?
Well, maybe if you take care of it. Dude, I mean, look at some of the things we've got around the house. Like, we've got some old Chinese crap things that still work today. Like, I still have chargers and plug-ins and headphones from over a decade ago that still work just fine.
Sure, I think some things last. There's a bell curve on every manufacturing floor.
Right.
Some things are going to break within 2 days of being taken out of the box. I just bought that digital recorder over there and it broke right out of the box. I got to send it back to Amazon. So, yep, some things break right away. Most things live their expected lifespan, and a few of those, 10% of them, go past the edge of the bell curve and last forever. I don't get your point.
Look, my point is just that it's about our culture. Is that anything whatsoever, and I know I'm using my iPad, iPhone, whatever, because these are products I use fairly daily, and I've been using it fairly daily for a very long time in, a tech world kind of use stand. Because a lot of people get a new laptop, new phone every year or 6 months.
Because a year for electronics is like dog years.
Right. But so many people view that as that once that reaches a year, it's no good anymore. It can't work, and they just get rid of it. And I think that's so dumb. I think, honestly, people are about minimalism, right, which is the new fad right now, this whole minimalism crap. If they're really about that, stop buying new stuff. Just stay what you have until it doesn't work anymore. I believe more in the idea of functionalism than I do minimalism, which is it's an idea I came up with. I don't have a good word, so I just say functionalism, which is where you use something for its functional purpose. If it still functions for a purpose,
why wouldn't you use something for its functional purpose?
Because people are morons. Like my Ford Ranger that had over 500,000 miles on it. It had 500,000 miles on that car.
Yes.
It was completely falling apart. I could see the road while I was driving on the floorboard. As long as I poured oil and I did as best I could taking care of it, it still worked. It was functional crap. It still worked. But everyone today, they're taking things that, like their brand new iPhone, brand new MacBooks, brand new computers, brand new cars, and they're getting rid of them a year later because
I
it's
hear
not
what
new.
you're saying, but that's not planned obsolescence.
I'm not saying it's planned. I'm saying that
it's
in our culture. Right, but I'm saying it's
so you're anti-consumerism.
I'm not anti-anything right now. I'm just saying this is an issue with our culture, is that they view planned obsolescence, which they view that every product seems...
Planned obsolescence is that this product is going to last 3 years, and the majority of it's going to break, and it's, at that point, not going to be worth it to actually have a repairman fix it, and so the consumer is going to buy a new product.
Right. What I'm trying to say, what I am saying, I don't think you're hearing me, is that our culture, the youngsters out there, along with me, have it stuck in our heads that something is no good. This idea of planned obsolescence, even though this computer is probably planned to work another 10 years, like a brand new MacBook in 2020 is probably planned to work for another 10 years before it falls apart, and then you're like, oh, I loved it so much, I'll buy another one, right? But in our culture, it's, oh, if the newest one came out, these ones are no good, so we just throw it away. And I have a huge gripe with that.
Well, I agree with that, but that's not planned obsolescence.
I'm not saying it's... I'm saying what the people are viewing it in the culture, our culture, my culture, as if it is planned obsolescence.
Once again, our public schools have failed us if that's what they think planned obsolescence is.
They don't teach that in school, dude. And not at all. Not at all in school was I ever taught about plain obsolescence. I was never taught anything about computers, how to do taxes, how to cook. I wasn't taught really even how to do anything like typing very well in school, which you think in my generation, in the 21st century, they would have taught. No.
Didn't you just come out of your mom typing?
No, not even close. But it's this whole, it's not even public schools, because public school is just a daycare for teenagers now. They don't teach you anything useful. Unless you're really searching to get something useful out of it, you just show up and you get a grade and you go home. It's like working at McDonald's.
Isn't that the best mentality to get out of it whatever you put into it, right?
But most people, they can't come to that realization, that understanding, until some critical, climax in their story of their, adolescence. And they're like, I get it now. I got to do this. I got to live a certain way. And it all makes sense. I finally got that when I went broke and I was failing in a college in the middle of Canada. That's when everything started. Snippity snap and bippity bop boo. Everything made sense to me at that point.
Mary Poppins showed up. Is that what she did?
Well, that's when I met my girlfriend. That's close enough, But anyways, back to the designed obsolescence thing. I'm not saying that this is designed obsolescence. What I'm saying is this is a Zoomer rant. So I'm ranting about my culture that infuriates me, where they talk about minimalism, they talk about caring about products, about, just taking care of things and our environment or whatever. If you want the environment to be better, stop buying products constantly. If you want something to be a good product, take care of it and just keep using it. And if you like it, there's no reason you need to get a new one until it just doesn't work anymore. Like what you always tell me with the car, what you've always told me is to keep driving it until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Right?
Because cars are not an investment.
Right. They're an expense. And that's the same thing with these objects. So buying a computer, maybe I'm investing in my education or future productivity or something like that. But financially, it is an expense, and anything else I do to that computer is an expense. So the longer I can keep it running, operating, and doing exactly what it's made to function to do, or whatever I need it to do, and it adequately completes that task, the better on return I get from my expense. I'm just going to say return on my investment, because if you view it that way, I invest $50 in this so I could get this amount of stuff done. Well, it's a bad investment. I'm not talking about financial. You understand the metaphor I'm saying here. You understand what I'm saying. You're looking at me like I'm a moron, but you know exactly what I'm saying.
You're using all these terms out of context.
It's not. I'm saying, look, I'm investing $100 in this computer right here, and I expect it to last me 3 years.
But it's not an investment.
It's just an idea. It doesn't have to, financially be an actual investment where I put like thousands of dollars in a Roth IRA to get a return when I turn 65.
I purchased this computer for $100. I expect my purchase to last X number of years. If it lasts longer than that, then so be it.
In our culture, this is called a return on investment for spending. If I buy this computer, I am investing in my future. If this does not last up to the amount of time. What is the return on investment? Is about breaking even. Like I paid $100. I got more than $100.
It's about
$100
profit
from
margin.
This computer, dude. We're not even talking about financials here.
I know. So stop using those terms.
This is how our culture works. You're laying into me about this, man. But this is the way our culture works.
It is not the way our culture works.
It totally is. It's maybe not the way for you,
Gen
X.
Brain damaged morons work.
Hey, I'm not the teachers in school. X is. The Y's are. The Z's, we just exist, man. We're built in what world you made for us, dude.
Wham.
You know what? Whatever.
You haven't.
My version of rebelling was wearing a tie in college and wearing a fedora and briefcase to school. That was my version of, retaliating. Yours was like lighting cars on fire and smoking doobies and drinking Jack. That was your version of rebellion. Mine was like looking like I'm from the 50s. That was my version. All right. We were a lot classier than what some of you X's did. Just because you made some good movies and good music and a lot of other good stuff about our culture does not mean you were better than the Zoomers.
All I have to say is all of your favorite movies are just about from the 80s. All of your favorite music is just about from the 80s. And 80s pop culture, although there was a lot of creepy guys during it, like Michael Jackson, still number one out there because nobody can do anything in modern day Z culture or whatever the heck you are, Zoomer.
Zoomer. Either Gen Z or Zoomer.
Yeah, all it is stereotyping and ripping off other cultural things that happen in other generations.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. That bugs me, but at the same time, it's really hard for... As a kid, it wasn't as hard, but now it is, to try and come up with like original ideas or things. You called it a Scottism when I was a kid, and I still call it that today, if you remember what that is. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, if you didn't come up with the wheel, someone else was going to come up with the wheel. Like, it's like two people had the exact same idea, different places, never met. You know, so as a kid,
I've often told you, I don't know if anybody's come up with this idea or if I might have read it someplace, so I call it a Scottism for right now until it's not.
So the word itself is a Scottism, word Scottism. But
sure.
You know, like growing up, it was a lot easier to come up with original ideas in my head because I didn't know that those other ideas existed. You know, so when I came up with basically Terminator and Iron Man and all this stuff, before I really understood what Iron Man or Terminator was, you know, I thought I was the cool kid in town. I created this cool idea. Then, you know, Iron Man came out in theaters, and I watched the little cartoon and showed me the comic books. And
Stan Lee stole your idea.
Well, the dude's ancient and dead now, but rest in peace.
As far as you know.
Sure, it could be with Walt Disney.
And Elvis. And JFK.
Nah, JFK would have been so old by now.
You think Walt Disney isn't?
Well, that's a good point. You know, so like in my generation, that's kind of like how my childhood was. But then as soon as the internet really hit, I want to say, I'm going to say 2009 is when the internet hit its, like the gates opened. Because the internet, no. Listen to what I'm saying. All right, listen, Linda, listen. When the gates opened in like 2009, Facebook wasn't the Facebook. Twitter was coming out, and then just all these different platforms that we use today were just like seeds in the ground, fledglings. Yeah, fledglings. They were all that in like 2009, and then when 2010 hit, everything just like the gates were open. You just see a couple of those animals coming in just before the stampede. 2010 hit. Bam! They all just rushed in, right? And then there's so much content out there that it's so hard for me to do anything that someone else hasn't already created or that doesn't already exist. You know, music I want to listen to or I think of is everything's a ripoff, everything's a stereotype. But that's because that's how our culture is now. Like when I view something and I look at some cool album art from like the Police, or you know, when I listen to a song from like Rush or Boston or something. Honestly, if you were asking me what decade they came out from, if it was, I was just a random kid on the street that the first time heard that, I'd probably say 2000s, maybe early 2010s. Because a lot of the bands now don't sound any different than them because they're just copying Rush and Boston.
Right.
But a lot of time people don't
sounded like you said Rush and Boston.
Rush and Boston. A lot of people don't understand that it's Rush and Boston ripoffs. They view that and they're like, okay, cool. This is a band I like from Boston called Los Angeles. This is the band called Quick. That's a ripoff of Rush or you know whatever, and then they decided to make a ripoff of that. And that is my culture, ripoff culture.
So what does all this have to do with planned obsolescence?
Right. So everyone seems to think that planned obsolescence is totally everything. Everything's designed just to fail. You know what? There are good products out there. They're just designed to work. The manufacturers like make so much money off the car, or you know whoever it is. There are good people out there. They just want to make a product that works for you. That's all they want to do. If they can just help a few people, that's it. And I totally believe there are people out there. Have I met one? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. But I believe there are people out there because that's what I would be. I definitely would. If I had enough money to make just a couple products that served their function really well and people really liked it, yeah, I'll keep making that. But as soon as the money starts, going red for that, no, I'm done with it.
Or until you make enough, the government starts regulating you out of existence.
I found my own country. I'll make my own country. Anyways, to close that up, all I'm saying is that my culture is like a rip-off culture. So every time they view something from the past, it's somehow relevant in our freaking day and age. What? So when there was a whole lot of design obsolescence, so I would say like the early 2000s, there was a lot of design obsolescence. Because a lot of tech that came out was beta or alpha. You know, some of the game systems that came out, they were not tested very well. Like, they did not do a lot of development on that. But, like, some of the Genesis, some Sega stuff, Nintendo, I mean, everyone was releasing some pretty crappy stuff. And so that has just stuck with products like the Pinto. You know, the idea of it blowing up is just stuck with it, even though Ford fixed it. I know it's just a stupid plastic shield, but they still fixed it like a year in or a year and a half in after the car was made. And it made several other generations of the car too. And people, it was well received after that. But because of that one incident...
If it was so well received, why isn't it still in production?
Because they made a different car. The Ford Pinto became the Ford Fiesta. Just like the Chevy Cavalier became the Chevy. Yes, it did.
The Pinto did not become the Fiesta.
It is the precursor. Look, just like my old Ford Freestar minivan, we used to be a Ford Windstar, right? And then the Ford Freestar became the Ford Taurus X Freestyle. Then it became the Ford Taurus X, and then it became the Flex. That is the evolution of that car. So the Pinto is a precursor to the idea of the Fiesta. And I'm just saying, our culture is a rip-off culture that believes every freaking thing nowadays is designed just to break automatically. And I do not agree with that. I think if you just take care of a product and you use it for its function, it's good. When it breaks, it breaks. That doesn't necessarily mean the maker put something in the phone or it's designed a certain way just to break it at exact 12 p.m. midnight in 2021.
Actually, the manufacturers make things in a way that most products will fail within a certain window.
Right. But not every product is like that. I mean, people are looking at, like...
Absolutely every product's like that.
Dude, I got a swell water ball right here that I snagged off someone when they weren't looking. This thing, I don't know how old this thing is. I think, actually, what is it? This says, like... This is 9 years old. This bottle right here is 9 years old.
Yeah, and they probably designed it the last 10 years. And the majority of them will last 10 years. And then after 10 years, they're going to start to fail. Boeing, when they make an airplane.
They let a lot of people die.
Whatever.
They purposely got to kill people. Because no good news, bad news, it's good publicity.
I've let you go on for a while. The Boeing, part of the profit margin that they plan in their aircraft is for certain parts in the aircraft to fail at certain times and need general maintenance replacement. This is the way everything is done, from an automobile to a phone charger. So what you're saying is
I'm just saying not everything is made to be like the yearly basis. Like you can buy a 2010 Ford Taurus. Yeah, and you can drive it for the next 100 years if you take care of the thing. I don't disagree with
that portion of what you're saying.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, you sure took a long time to get to that.
Because you kept saying I'm a stupid idiot in the middle of it.
I never said you're a stupid idiot.
You implied it.
I may have said you're a moron, but not a stupid idiot.
It's the same difference.
And you keep using terms in ways that are incorrect.
That is how they're used today in our culture.
You cannot arbitrarily change the meaning of words or phrases.
I can't, but the Urban Dictionary can. The lingo and everything that people use today, they can. Look, agree to disagree. You wanted my rant. There's my rant, baby. Okay. Take it whether you like it or not. Well, but with your consent, though. Consent is very important. So if you don't want to listen, cool. Just turn it off.
Yeah,
it's cool,
there you
guys.
go.
It's cool, baby. It's all right.
Well, we need to get on to something we're calling Don't Be That Guy.
Okay.
And the first one is this man who uses an iguana as a weapon at a Perkins. And so...
What? How do you use an iguana as a weapon? Like to bite people, or is he just slapping them, or is he just sticking it into orifices of their body? What was he doing?
Yeah, this 49-year-old guy was apprehended after he removed an iguana from underneath his shirt and began swinging the reptile by the head and tail over his head. And when he was asked to lower the lizard, the suspect threw the animal at the store manager and fled out of the restaurant. And then they tracked him down. Of course, they arrested him.
The iguanas are the ones that have the tails that just like pop off, right?
I think they...
I would love to be there, and he's just swinging it around like it's a slingshot, and then it just flings off the tail into someone's soup. I'd love to see that.
So he's getting a disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and animal cruelty charges.
Oh, but are
So
lizards really animals?
Is pulling a tail off a lizard that... is pulling a tail off a lizard that is meant to fall off when they're scared or they're trying to get away. Is that animal cruelty?
I don't know, but is it designed obsolescence?
Well, maybe by God, you never know.
Yeah, don't be that guy. I mean, if you're going to do anything, use a cat. I mean, come on.
Did you say do it with a cat?
Yeah, there are more cats than anything else, like, I think. I don't know. I'm just saying from my feelings. And my feelings are fact. You know, that
feelings
there
are not
more
facts.
Cats. My feelings are...
Feelings are subjective.
My feelings about felines are that they are facts. Alright, there are too many cats in the world that aren't hairless. I love hairless cats. Let's give it up to the hairless cats, because not enough people love them. So take the other moldy-looking, you know, Garfield cats and just swing them around and throw them at a couple people's faces. You know, use them for a carpet, skin them, whatever. Just
on
do
a
something
daily
creative.
basis, you continue to give me things to pray about.
I am a godsend. I continue your faith, your walk in faith. Because of my existence, I help you commune with God.
You help me do something, and worry is one of them.
No. God says don't worry.
God says don't worry. That is true. However, you, my young man-child, give me plenty to worry about some days. Especially thinking that that you broke a pickaxe today. You don't know any of the terms that you just went
I
on
know the terms I used. I'm saying that their meanings go along with other words now. Like my podcast.
Easy for you to
my
say.
podcast is called Happy Cabbage. Either it means weed, a lot of money, a happy kid, or whatever I want it to mean, alright? Because it just doesn't have, like, a defined meaning anymore, because there's so many different interpretations behind the word. So, investment, return on investment, have so many different things. You look at press conferences for the new Samsung Fold. They're like, buying this phone, this $2,000 phone, will get you a great return on your investment. They're not actually talking about financials or something like that. They're just talking about return on, you know, your time, your patience, and your credit score.
Well, don't use that on the test in college, I'll tell you that.
No, it's okay.
So then there's this story about Yale University research team, which was able to restore part of the brain function of pigs.
Okay.
So they took
Were they dead?
They were dead pig brains.
Right.
And these, they did some weird things to these brains, and they were able to get them to start firing electrically again. And they're saying that the experiment showed that a surprising amount of cellular function was either preserved or restored.
Well, I mean, do you think it's just like you're
think
churning the starter in your car, but the engine's not turning over? Do you think it's something like that?
But, you know, I don't know, because brains use a lot of oxygen.
Right.
And so these brains have not had oxygen in a while, and they're just shooting up with electricity. I mean, it's pretty much what...
Yeah, it's a car with no gas, and you're just...
It's pretty much what Dr. Frankenstein did.
Yeah, you just shot a bunch of electrons, start moving around.
And created this monster. I don't know if this is an ethical thing to do.
Well, it's not human babies, so that it's somewhat more ethical than... I don't know.
Where are you going with that? It's dead.
I got heartburn. I don't know where I was going.
Okay.
But okay, so if you chopped off some... Okay, I don't want to say just chopped off someone's head, but if you were some way to surgically remove a head of someone's body, and you had machines connected to everything, so there's oxygen going to the head, their trachea, I don't know, you make it so they still... those little voice boxes you put underneath the chin, they can voice it out, and they can speak.
No, if you cut the head off at the right spot, they might still have a voice box.
Okay, so you cut it
but
so
you
they still
have to give it enough air to function, because your vocal cords vibrate by air passing by.
Okay, so they make artificial lungs. You
just put your head on a robot body.
Yeah, I want to know, would that actually work? Could you like put enough nutrients that just kind of like, I don't know how that would work. You know, but you have a machine that just pumps blood continually through your body. I mean, I don't think you could move your jaw. Could you move your jaw?
I wouldn't see why you couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, you can move your jaw. You wouldn't really have a neck. I mean, like, to move back and forth with, I would assume, because you need the rest of your body. Anyway, but, like, if you had your head, your spinal cord, everything that's, like, essential up there to live, everything else was connected. You know, we have people that use doping machines where they just pump new blood in them constantly. So you could do that with someone. We have the breathing machines that does it for you, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we got all this kind of stuff now. Do you think it'd be possible just to somehow surgically remove someone's head and, like, they'll still live?
I would say that there's probably a slim chance some evil doctor out there could make it happen, but I have my doubts whether the person with a question mark that happened to would be able to cope with it.
Okay, let's just say it's a sociopath that feels nothing. Right, he has no emotions.
Yeah, still, it doesn't deal with emotions. It's your brain functions on tons and tons of stimulus, and without your body, it's missing all of this stimulus. Not to mention that a lot of your endocrine system and your adrenal glands are down by your kidneys. A lot of your systems aren't associated with your head, so I don't know. It would.
So you'd have to be like RoboCop, like the newest one where they kind of showed more about what's going on with the body.
Be more of a cyborg, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that'd be possible? That like pretty much strip.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who are enhancing their bodies right now by sticking computer chips in them. And
yeah, but I just see a dude that's got NFC tag and he just tags it everywhere.
No, there's
wow.
People putting like full
adamantium in there.
No, but full hardware in their arms and things like that. So
well, I'm just curious because it seems like most people die of heart attacks or like lung disease. If you're able to replace those organs that you don't really feel anything in, and you can somehow run a signal so when you want to breathe, it just runs off your brain, but your heart just automatically just does what it needs to do, and it just depending on what activity you're doing. Do you think people would live almost indefinitely?
No. Until they can stop cellular decay, that's not possible.
Well, I mean, when does the cellular decay? Because there's a lot of people that just die, but it seems like parts of them are still just fine. It's just like one part, just kind of.
I don't know. In most mammals, you're limited to 1 million heartbeats. In humanity, because of medicines and things like that, we get several million more heartbeats. And then talk about your planned obsolescence.
Thanks,
I mean,
God.
they've actually studied it, and a reason why a mouse doesn't live as long as a dog is because its heart beats 3 times as fast.
So if we could slow our heartbeats down, hypothetically, we could live longer.
In one rational theory, yes.
So that's that whole idea that when you get older, don't make your heart beat too quick and things like that. Just take it slow, relax.
Well, as you get older, your blood pressure tends to go up too. So, I mean, there's problems behind that. So our next story is kind of interesting news.
Okay.
Which kind of caught me off guard. This is a couple in Arizona who was going to Home Depot to pick up day laborers.
They went to Home Depot.
Well, that happens all the time.
Well, yeah,
Outside Home Depot, there's a bunch of guys who'll work for cash. And you just pull up and may not be Hispanic. You're so derogatory.
Well, come on. Let's be honest here.
Let's be honest.
The majority of the dudes that are, day laborers.
Well, it does happen that the guy this happened to.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course it is. My name is Pedro. I'll get in your pickup truck for $5.
So,
you want me to do your roof? I'll do your lawn as well.
But the couple who committed this heinous act, which I haven't described to you yet,
okay,
is also
Did they like decapitate all these dudes and eat them, or like cannibals? Are they cannibals?
No.
Okay. Did they kill them?
No.
What? Okay, arrested them to send back to ICE.
How about you let me read the story?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So an Arizona couple's charged with luring a day laborer to their Phoenix home and forced the man to have sex at gunpoint with the female suspect. And an assault that the male suspect described as a sexual fantasy scenario, according to the criminal complaint. And so this guy who's like 39 is standing outside Home Depot. This couple pulls up, offers them cash to be a day laborer for them, gets them to their home, and the guy at gunpoint says, "Have sex with my wife."
Hey, my name's Pedro. I'll do your trees. I'll do your lawn. I'll do your pool.
Then why
Here's
this?
$50 to do my wife.
No, it was like at gunpoint.
Get in the car.
No, when they took him into the house, it was total bait and switch.
Man, who has that kind of fantasy that you just want to abduct somebody, put a gun to their head to...
Not just that, the husband records this, and then
leaving evidence, great.
Yeah, and then
he must be a watcher.
Threatens the guy, releases him for the day, and threatens him if he doesn't come back tomorrow that he's going to email pictures of him having sex with his wife to the day laborer's spouse back in Mexico. So,
do you think she actually has a computer back in Mexico?
Wow.
Well, he's probably sending majority of his money back to take care of him.
She might have a smartphone. But the crazy thing is that when the police arrested this couple, they admitted to participating in this sexual fantasy scenario with about 4 other day laborers. And this guy is the first one who turned them in. So they've been doing this for a while with other people. And of course, they're locked up with $200,000 of $250,000 bond. So
remember, guys, consent is key in these situations when you want to abduct someone and basically force them at gunpoint to have sexual interactions with your spouse. Consent is key, along with a lot of other things. But that's the main point right now. Besides the gunpoint.
And so our moron of the week is Mr. Gronkowski from...
he's the Patriots dude?
From the Patriots football team.
He plays soccer, right?
Yeah, what?
He does the game where he kicks the ball into the touchdown, right, when they do the home run. Am I thinking of cricket?
This guy plays National Football League, NFL football.
Oh, he's an American.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, great. I always forget it for those Brits and anything else that's past Britain. I don't know. It's one big amalgamation.
He's at at Fenway Park at a Boston Red Sox season opener.
Okay.
He's got the Lombardi Trophy. The Patriots just won.
That's that big shiny.
The big shiny triangle base with the football on top.
Yeah.
That Super Bowl champions get.
Did he just walk around into the park with the trophy?
Well, I mean, it's New England Patriots. Boston's in New England. They're showing it off. Get more people out to the park. Excuse me. And anyway, so he's pretending it's a bat, and somebody pitches a ball at him, and he goes ahead and takes the Lombardi Trophy and swings it at the ball and puts a dent in it.
How bad is the dent?
I never really see.
I'll look it up.
I haven't seen a picture of the dent. But the big thing is that he put on Twitter simply saying, "Oopsies." So you're looking up the size of the dent right now?
Yeah. It
doesn't matter how big the dent is. This is just stupid.
How much do you think that thing's worth?
Well, I don't know. Everybody gets a pretty sizable bonus for winning the Super Bowl.
How much? Like $1 million?
I don't know, but it's a lot. But I just cannot believe that he would do something like that. I mean, and then to say, oops, oopsies. It's just,
that's not that bad.
it's the Lombardi Trophy.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's real tiny, dude. Like, it's like pathetically small enough that if you just put it up on the stand, I don't think you would notice.
Everybody's going to notice. This has made national news except for people like you.
Well, I mean, I heard you talking about it, but I just didn't care enough to focus in on exactly what it is. But now I'm looking at the photos. It's not like it's... Honestly, if you just put it up on a stand in your room or in the closet, wherever the heck you got to put it, it's... you're not going to notice it.
They're not going to put the Lombardi Trophy in a closet.
Or what do you call a display case? Come on. And honestly, think about it. This thing's going to be worth more, right? Just like postage stamps, right? Bear with me here. If you buy a vintage postage stamp and it comes with a letter, if the letter has some kind of importance about a historical event, that stamp that's associated with that letter, if you can take it off correctly, sells for a lot more money because of the events surrounding that stamp. This thing now is a little itty bitty dent. Now, what happens when this place starts going out of money? They're going bankrupt because no one's watching soccer, whatever sport this is. And then they sell this. That little bit of dent's going to add a whole lot of money.
They are never going to sell their Lombardi trophies.
Look, when the XFL comes back, they're going to have to. They're going to lose. When The Rock and Trump start making a new football league again.
Two different football leagues.
No. When they make a new football league, they're going to totally demolish these guys. A boy can dream.
Well, this isn't even dreaming. This is a mushroom-induced fantasy.
Man, I had not been in high school for a while. Give me a break, all right? I've been sober. I have not been.
So our last story comes from the Ukraine.
Okay.
Where... there's a guy who's had his eyes tattooed all dark and had his teeth cut into fangs. The tattoo artist who tattooed his eyes to make him look like a demon was found murdered with 2 bite marks in her neck, and she bled out. I wonder... I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name, but... Podvesneskaya. She had stab wounds and bite marks on her neck, the report said. And the police have detained the 26-year-old Audrey Gorbachuk in the murder probe, saying he's suspected of visiting the victim on the night she died. And she is the one who has tattooed his eyes to make him look like a demon. And he's also had his tongue split in the center so it forks. Ugh. And that's too much. That's being too extra there, buddy. Why? I mean, okay, I can get it. You want to tattoo your eyeballs and you manage not to go blind. That is fan-freaking-tastic, buddy. You do what you want to do. But the tongue and the teething thing, no. He also had his ears pointed. Oh, like an elf? No, like a demon. An elf. And then he had spikes put along the back of his neck. He's got those stupid... Yeah, those screw-in spikes. Ah, man, that's too much. That's just too much. It's weird. All right, I already hate going to the dentist. People touching my teeth makes me feel so uncomfortable that I want to bite the finger off of whoever's got a finger in my mouth. Like the dentist, I just want to bite through their glove and just break it off, all right? You got issues. No, I just don't like people touching my teeth. And then this guy's going to file down his teeth. You know how painful it's got to be? And then they cut your tongue. I bit my tongue in ice cream once when I was a kid, and it started bleeding. That was so painful. I had to stick it back in the ice cream just to let it cool off. All right, that was so much blood. He also has grown his fingernails out, it looks like, and made them into, like, black claws. Ugh. Dude's a bit crazy. I mean, I've heard of cracked nails, but that's just stupid nails. Yeah, it wasn't funny. So... our meme of the week is Are you going to try and explain a picture of a meme? Yeah. This one... there's a reason why it's a picture. I know, but... It's a picture. Let me explain it to you. When you can just look it up. Come picture that says, when black people make Kool-Aid, and there's a kid pouring a bag of sugar into a pitcher of Kool-Aid. And then the bottom part of the picture says, when white people make Kool-Aid, and it's the Kool-Aid that killed the mass killing down on that Caribbean island.
What?
I just thought that was
What are you talking?
a funny contrast.
You talking about Heaven's Gate or Jonestown?
Jonestown?
Don't drink the Kool-Aid. They didn't even drink Kool-Aid. They drank
Flavor Ice.
Flavorade.
Yeah.
They're not good enough for Kool-Aid or Gatorade, Kool-Aid, whatever.
I thought it was funny.
You know, there were black people in there too.
I wasn't there. I just thought...
You didn't even look it up. You
No,
just looked at the picture. You thought it was funny. There's a bunch of dead white people.
Well, from the picture, yeah, there are a bunch of dead white people.
Did you even try?
Why are you laughing at me?
Wait, just... Okay, no, I'm good.
Well, you're something. That's for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you got anything else for us today?
No, you know, I think that's about... Well, okay, so I start my new job at Best Buy this Saturday. I'll be an appliance salesman. So if you're one to pray, specifically to Yeshua, I would appreciate prayer for support. I have no idea what I'm doing for this job. It sounds pretty cool. It sounds pretty lax. But honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is one of those jobs where, like, I didn't know what I signed myself up to. So I'm hoping I don't just show up and I end up, like, hey, you want to buy a fridge? Sure. And I just butcher it and end up charging them $10,000 for $1,000. I don't know. I send, like, 10 of them to their house and they don't know what happened. And then they hunt me down and bite me in my neck and cut out my eyeballs.
They don't trust you to make up the prices. You're going to be scanning them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, what do I really do? I don't know. Because when I go to Best Buy, everyone's just on their phones. Unless they're part of the help desk or they're at the cashier. But, right, like, most people are just on their phones, walking around.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that's what I get to do.
I walk around there with my phone looking at my Vudu app to see what movies I already bought.
Yeah, or check to see if Amazon's got a better price.
Yeah, and Best Buy always checks that for me.
Yeah, they do. But outside of that, I think that's about everything for this week. What about you, old man? You got anything?
Well, that's about it for us this week.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you for tuning in to episode 2. I don't know where you're listening to, or, you know, to hear this podcast, but we appreciate nonetheless. If you have any questions, comments, testimonies, the end of short sermons, please reach out to us somewhere. I don't know. We don't have social media, so
We're
tough
getting
luck.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm the old guy.
And what am I?
You're the man-child.
All right, let's do that again. Do it again.
I'm the old guy.
And I'm the man-child.
Don't fall up a down elevator.
And remember, if I don't come back, you made me come here.
All right. God bless you. We'll see you next time.
Deuces.